Hi, my name is Tom and I'm an alcoholic. In November 2020, I was asked to lead an Alcoholics Anonymous men's step discussion meeting. The format of the meeting is for the leader to share their experience with one step in depth per week using the 12 and 12 book as a guide. I recorded my portion of the meeting to share with sponsees and others who could not attend the meeting. Thanks for taking the time to listen, and I hope that my message of recovery resonates with you. I'm Tom, I'm an alcoholic. Thanks again for hosting the meeting, and certainly thanks to everyone for joining up tonight. I'm Tom, I'm an alcoholic, and as you know, I'm an alcoholic and an addict and a codependent and an Al-Anon and a whole bunch of other stuff, and had a lot of isms and addictions and obsessions and compulsions and all of that, cumulative effect on me trying to stay sober has really found a solution here in Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps and being sponsored and sponsoring guys and spiritual experience. And Alcoholics Anonymous is, gave me my life back in a way I could never imagine. And tonight we're talking about step 9, and the reason why I kind of gave you that little intro there about the life I can't imagine is I don't think I could have gotten this far without making amends. I don't think I could have had the freedom that I experienced if I hadn't made amends and done step 9. So hopefully that comes through in my talk tonight. So step 9, the beginning of the book here, the little synopsis: made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. A tranquil mood is the first requisite for good judgment. Good timing is important in making amends. What is courage? Prudence means taking calculated chances. Amends begin when we join AA. Peace of mind cannot be bought at the expense of others. Need for discretion. Readiness to take the consequences of our past and to take responsibility for well-being of others is spirit of step 9. Okay, so why step 9? What's the risk of avoiding or delaying step 9? I mentioned this last week with step 8. It's a big relapse point for a lot of us. Either the avoidance of making any amends, the avoidance of making key amends. There's a buildup, an emotional buildup that happens, and the guilt and the shame that comes along with it, which leads many a person to relapse. In the big book when he talks about amends, I go back to page 82. It's the tornado, right? Where tornadoes ripping through people's lives, coming out of the storm cellar, as he talks about, Ma, ain't it grand that the wind stopped blowing, is a nice idea, if I didn't have so much baggage and so much, blame to and so much stuff to reconcile from my past. It'd be great if I could just go, oh, I'm done drinking. That was really bad. Let's just, forget that ever happened and move on. But just not drinking is not good enough for this alcoholic. I needed to do all the other steps and leading up to 9 and making amends for the harm I had caused. And when we talk about the promises, I like to, put the stick out there, but then give you the carrot. In the big book on page 77, he talks about, this is not an ends to the means. We're not just doing this to feel better or to put our life in order. Our purpose is to be of maximum service to God and to the people about us. And that may not sound like a promise. It sounds almost like a responsibility or something. But let me tell you, having experienced this, it is a promise that, having done the work and experienced this, finding myself being of use to others, is really fulfilling and gives meaning to my life where I didn't have previously. And obviously the big promises, that they lay at our feet and we hear in almost every meeting, is, on page 83 and 84. It's the, if we will be amazed before we are halfway through. And that's right at the end of step 9. So, the promises are have been at the end of the ninth step, have basically been codified into AA meetings and AA's, general knowledge that this stuff is waiting there for me if I do this work and I make these amends and come out the other side. And I can tell you, living proof here that that I have experienced the promises. On a side note, real quick, was that I got sober, clean and sober in NA and spent good first 10 years in that program and some other programs before I started going to AA on a regular basis. And when I had first really listened to the promises and read about the promises, I realized I had experienced the promises, right? So that the promises aren't codified in a way like that in NA, but they are universal to this spiritual awakening and the work we do here and the results of going through the steps and up into including 9. So I was able to go, oh wow, I feel like that. I've experienced that. So they are universal in this journey that we're on. And even the absence of not knowing them as kind of trying to achieve them, I've experienced them. So they are out there for you as well. So this seems like just another touch back to something I said previously. This is a relationship step, right? And Bill wrote that at the beginning of step 8. We talked about last week. It's my relationship with myself, with others, with my higher power, and with truth. What's my relationship with truth look like? Am I going to get rigorously honest with these amends I need to make, and am I going to see them through? What I love is that the opening paragraph in the 12 and 12 is he's asking us to have good judgment, a careful sense of timing, courage, and prudence when we take step 9. Now, those are not things which I had readily available when I came into the program, and certainly for a long time, things I needed to develop. That's why it's at step 9, because I needed to develop good judgment, a careful sense of timing, courage, and prudence before I even ventured into the seriousness of step 9. And I can tell you, I have made I've attempted to make an amends out of order, and it did not go well. When Bill talks about on page 84, I cannot buy my peace of mind at the expense of others. And I tried that, and it failed miserably, and I hurt the woman I loved as a result of that, because I felt some guilt that I felt like I needed to be relieved of on at the price of her peace of mind. So when it says, when to do so, whether them or others, having 6 months clean or sober and making that decision on my own is a bad idea. And I paid for it dearly, and I had to make an amends for making an amends. It's not a pretty picture. So the good news is that at this point, I've developed relationships with a sponsor, with some spiritual friends and spiritual leaders, and that type of thing. So I can. When I get to not step 9 properly, I can start to look at these in a way which someone's going to call me out and being honest about these amends, right? Am I trying to shirk responsibility? Am I trying to, avoid them based on what was the term he used? Hold on, let me find it. It was I kind of like this line here. Oh, let's not talk prudence when practicing evasion, or trying to avoid harming people, but being too generous in my terms of of harm. I need help with that. Even with time in the program, I need to check my motives, check my honesty, get humble with what I'm going to go out and make amends for, and if that's going to cause any troubles. From a practical standpoint, Bill talks about the categories in terms of timing, and I've heard variations at this before. It's the like, what am I going to do now? What amends can I make? Of short term that are just financial. What are the amends that I would never make? Because I felt like I've been done harm more than I've done any harming. When there's some reciprocity in terms of harm back and forth with someone else, and that's well and good. And depending on your sponsor, they may have other guidance in terms of the categories and what order you make your amends in, and that's kind of the mechanics of it. What I found, and it's written about in multiple places, is as I start to make the amends, the fear lessens, and the feeling of a deepening connection with my higher power and with the world at large increases, and I wind up being able to move through those amends a lot easier than I thought I would. That the ones that were in the maybe later turned into the why not now, and the ones that were the nevers turned out to be the I'm willing to do this, because both I want to stay sober, I want to get right with the universe, I want to be able to feel that I've evened things out, and I've taken this recovery thing seriously, and that I want to have the full freedom that it offers. So the order in which, and the severity of the amends, and how to address those are again, there's something to take up seriously with your sponsor, your trusted advisors. The other piece about that is how to make the amends. I forget where I heard it from, but I've heard someone say, did you do the harm in person? Well, you should be making the amends in person. That if I had a confrontation with somebody, or if it's a personal relationship, that the direct amends, there's a specific way to address that in terms of it being direct. So maybe these days it has to be Zoom amends, but wherever possible to actually connect with the person that I've harmed, and make an amends there. I know that there's been variations along the way. I've heard people writing letters. Problem is, I can't get to the truth in a situation like that, because part of my problem with my alcoholism and my ego and false sense of self is that I've built up this whole story about how things went, and also I was probably drunk or high at the time, so I might not have a clear picture of everyone's role in that. And part of the amends process is also to find out how that person responds. Is there anything else I need to do to make amends? Is there any other restitution I might make? Have I missed anything? These are types of questions that that are suggested in terms of making amends. And I can't do that if that's a kind of a one-way thing. The other piece I've heard is for those who are not available, and in particular if someone's passed away. And I heard this. And I thought it was really powerful, was that you get a surrogate, that you can have somebody fill in for the person that you want to make amends to. And again, because it's a kind of a personal one-to-one type of situation, that it's almost a more of a concrete connective type of experience, instead of just again writing a letter. So there, so that's some of the ways to go about it. As I was going back over step 8 and thinking about types of amends and types of harms, and as I've gone through and I did the obvious ones first, like, oh, I stole money, oh, I stole property, oh, I lied to you, that type of thing. You know, being sober a bit gives me an opportunity to, well, do more harm if I'm not practicing these principles all my affair. But it gives me an opportunity to then go back and make an amends for those harms, and digging a little deeper. Again, it's like, how sober, how much freedom, how much peace do I want to be? So things like not giving credit to people, not giving thanks to people, ignoring the good will and the grace that people have given me over the years. Kind of giving them feedback back and making amends to them when there was some people who deserve that type of recognition in my life. Then there's again, the more subtler ones, like did I do harm through gossip, and that requires making not amends necessarily to that person, but going and telling other people that I gossiped or talked shit about somebody who didn't need to be dragged into that. Did I spread lies about somebody? Did I character assassinate somebody? That amends means I need to go fix what I had done. Go talk to the people I had told that stuff to correct it. So as I'm talking about amends, in terms of going and making these corrections, I think Pete said it last week about stop doing the behavior. Like I can't ask for forgiveness or try to make amends if I'm not amending my behavior, and that's causing the problem in the first place. Saying I'm not going to do this again, but then doing it again is part of the problem. A living amends means correcting my actions and being a better person, being a better man along the way. So and there's stuff that like, I don't know if I can ever kind of right all the wrongs directly in some of the stuff that I had done. People I don't even know their names of, or who, or again, if I can remember who I stole from, maybe I could go make amends to them. But well, what am I going to do today? I am who I am in this moment. So am I going and being a better person to friends? Am I being charitable in my life and in my giving of my time? That's the kind of balance sheet that I'm trying to even out of, with some living amends, to just putting it out into the universe to try and represent the man I want to be today. And that's probably what it is. So the couple examples that I had for amends that I had made that that had a real big effect on me, where me and my brother were estranged for a while. He had moved away, lost track of him, and I went out to see him. It's probably about 6 years ago or so. He was living in Texas, and I made amends to him, and it had to do with relationship stuff. Again, I get an opportunity now to delve a little bit deeper into these things, and it was like, and at first I was the younger brother, but I was also full blown addict, alcoholic at the time. So I was very encouraging in our our collective drug use, and so making amends for that, but also for I was really putting him up on a pedestal and demanding of him, and trying to kind of get something out of that relationship when we were teenagers and growing up that he wasn't prepared to provide, and there's some codependency there, and making amends for that, and also for losing touch with him. And he responded in a very, you know, kind and loving way, in that, that he also felt, some responsibility for the, the stuff that happened back then. But also, when he moved away, he was in a dark place and didn't reach out, and kind of cut himself off from the family, and and he took responsibility for that. And we've had just a wonderful relationship since that time. And that was a huge risk for me, because on the surface, that doesn't feel like, those are, amends. It's not like, again, not the financial thing. It's not, it's not like the physical abuse or anything like that. That was literally like repairing relationships. And the other, amend, which I like to talk about tonight, was with my dad. Like, this was somebody who was on my never list. I never thought that I'd ever, be able to forgive him for his behavior. And I decided that I wanted to experience the promises in full, and that it was important for me to make amends for my side of the street, regardless of what his behavior was. And I had done that, and we wound up with, a very good relationship. He was in declining health for a number of years, and although, it wasn't the, the rich, full, father-son relationship, it was at the very least, very, honest, free, and caring. And, I had an opportunity to take care of some stuff towards the end of his life. When he passed away 2 years ago, took care of all the arrangements, helped my mom out. And I was able to get up and give his eulogy, in front of the, friends and family, and, just be, happy for having him in my life and loving him as a complete person, without, this bitterness that I thought I'd always have. Like, that's the level of, freedom that I get from this stuff. Being able to go, I got no regrets. I got zero things that I'm gonna, be haunted by for the rest of my life. And then I'm going to finish up here by saying, this often comes up in eighth, ninth step discussions. Do I put myself on the list? And again, it's up to you and your sponsor, but my opinion is yes, because while I have caused harm to others in various ways, I have caused the most harm to myself. I have tortured myself with guilt and shame and remorse about my past actions. I have tortured myself with self-hatred and self-loathing. I have been so judgmental of, basically every minutia of, my behavior. I have been, self-doubting. I've been, you know, cut myself down, kept myself back, all over, my alcoholism and my addiction and my, thinking about, the past and what it, my perception of myself, and what, what a horrible guy I am. And, and, keeping myself from fully experiencing the spirit of God, and being in fellowship with men like you, because of the shit that goes on in my head. That is something that I owe myself an amends for, and something I try to make amends on a daily basis, by loving myself, by reprogramming my brain with meetings and service and therapy and meditation and prayer, and whatever I could do to just feed as much goodness into this brain of mine as possible, and into my soul, so that way I can be of maximum service to others. That's I think how how I can make amends for all the damage I've caused myself over the years. So that's my thoughts on step 9. I hope I brought you guys a good meeting and a good message, and I can't wait to hear from you. Thanks.